Dr. Emily Harper, a renowned archaeologist specializing in Mesoamerican cultures, led an excavation in the remote jungles of Central America. The expedition was very arduous, with weeks of scorching sun and torrential rains. The team, made up of experienced archaeologists and eager graduate students, unearthed countless artifacts, from pottery shards to ceremonial tools. But nothing could compare to the discovery they made one sweltering afternoon. As the sun reached its zenith, casting long shadows over the excavation site, Emily was called out by one of her students. "Dr. Harper, you have to see this," Miguel said, his voice shaking with excitement. Emily hurried over there, her boots crunching on the dry ground. Miguel and another student were carefully brushing dirt off an object that seemed large and hard. Gradually, the object began to reveal itself. It was a mask, skillfully carved from jade, its surface shining despite the centuries spent underground. The mask depicted a face with realistic features, high cheekbones, full lips, and eyes that seemed to follow you wherever you stood. The craftsmanship was extraordinary, surpassing anything Emily had seen in her career. Emily's breath caught as she carefully lifted the mask, feeling inexplicably cool despite the tropical heat. "This is extraordinary," she whispered, eyes wide with wonder. The team gathered around, murmuring in awe. The mask was adorned with symbols and glyphs that hinted at its meaning and the identity of the person it once represented.
Later that evening, as the team celebrated their find, Emily couldn't shake the unsettling feeling. The local guides, usually cheerful and full of stories, had become taciturn and wary after the mask was found. One of the elders, Don Luis, approached Emily with a serious expression on his face. "Dr. Harper," he began, his voice low and serious, "this mask is not to be taken lightly. Stories have been passed down from generation to generation about a cursed object buried in these lands. It is said that the mask belonged to a powerful shaman who was betrayed and killed by his own people. In his dying breath, he cursed the mask, swearing that anyone who wore it would be possessed by his vengeful spirit." Emily listened respectfully, but her rational mind dismissed the elder's warnings as mere superstition. "Thank you for sharing, Don Luis," she said, trying to allay his fears. "I promise that we will treat the mask with the utmost respect." That night, as the fire flickered and the jungle hummed with nightlife, Emily sat in the tent and examined the mask. With her fingertips, she traced the delicate carvings, marveling at the skill it must have taken to create such a masterpiece. The cold did not go away, however, and a sense of unease gripped her. She decided to study the mask thoroughly, taking photographs and detailed notes. Her initial excitement was replaced by a nagging feeling that she was dealing with something far more dangerous than she could have imagined. Emily put the mask aside and tried to sleep, but in her dreams she was haunted by images of the shaman's face, his eyes burning with anger and sadness. The next morning, Emily woke up with a sinking heart. She decided to delve deeper into the history of the mask, hoping to uncover its secrets and put her mind at ease. She didn't yet know that the real horror was just beginning. The discovery of the mask would set off a chain of events that would challenge her beliefs, test her resolve, and jeopardize the lives of everyone around her. Back at the university, the mask became the centerpiece of Dr. Emily Harper's research. The anthropology department was thrilled with the find, and Emily was eager to unlock the secrets of this unusual artifact. She meticulously recorded every detail, from the intricate carvings to the unusual symbols engraved around the edges. She even turned to experts in ancient Mesoamerican languages to decipher the symbols, which seemed to tell a disjointed story of power, betrayal, and revenge. The first incident occurred just days after the mask was displayed in a secure glass case in Emily's office. Her colleague, Dr. Marcus Reed, a brilliant but somewhat impulsive archaeologist, was particularly fascinated by the mask. He visited Emily's office often and always looked at the mask with intense curiosity. One evening, when the campus had long since quieted down, Marcus found himself alone in Emily's office. He stayed late to finish some paperwork, but his eyes kept straying to the mask. It seemed to call to him, its lifelike eyes glinting in the dim light. Unable to bear it, Marcus decided to take a closer look at it. With a sense of awe and trepidation, he opened the glass case. As he lifted the mask, a strange feeling swept over him, a mixture of horror and compulsion. Ignoring the warning signs, Marcus placed the mask over his face. A cold shiver ran down his spine, and his vision blurred for a moment. When he removed the mask, Marcus felt different. He staggered back, grabbing his head as a wave of nausea and disorientation came over him. The reflection in the glass of the display case showed his eyes, dark and sunken, a stark contrast to their usual bright blue. Ignoring his fatigue, Marcus decided to go home. The effects of the mask were beginning to take their toll. In the days that followed, Marcus changed dramatically. Usually good-natured and helpful, he became irritable and aggressive. His colleagues noticed his strange behavior, but wrote it off as stress. Emily, however, became concerned. She caught Marcus in her office several times, looking at the mask with an anxious expression. The first outburst of anger occurred during a faculty meeting. Marcus lashed out at a coworker over a minor disagreement and threw a chair across the room. The incident shocked everyone, and the dean insisted that Marcus take a leave of absence to recover. But the situation only worsened. Marcus's behavior became more erratic and aggressive. One night he was found vandalizing a lab, and his hands were bloody from cuts he didn't remember getting. He began to speak in an ancient, guttural language that no one could understand. Emily recognized some of the words from her study of the mask, but their exact meaning eluded her. Fearing for the safety of Marcus and the others, Emily decided to confront him face to face. She went to his apartment, where she found him in a disheveled state, with the mask clutched tightly in his hands. The apartment was in chaos, the walls mottled with cryptic symbols and drawings. "Marcus, you need help," Emily said, trying to reach her friend. "The mask is doing something to you. We have to figure it out together." Marcus's eyes were wild as he looked at her. "The mask, it's talking to me, Emily. The spirit of the shaman. He wants revenge. It wants blood." Realizing the gravity of the situation, Emily realized she had to act quickly. She took the mask from Marcus, who did not resist, but fell into slumber. Emily returned the mask to her office, determined to find out the full story behind it. She began to delve deeper into her research, consulting ancient texts and seeking advice from local shamans. The connection between the mask and Marcus's transformation was undeniable. Emily's investigation led her to a chilling discovery. The curse of the mask was real, and the spirit of the vengeful shaman was growing stronger. The only way to stop the madness was to lift the curse, but time was running out. Marcus's condition was worsening, and Emily feared the mask's influence could spread to others if she didn't find a solution soon. As the days passed, Emily grew increasingly worried about what to do next. She knew that the mask held the key to the shaman's dark past, and the secrets needed to break the curse. But the path to unlocking those secrets would involve danger, and Emily was prepared to face any horrors to save her friend and stop the evil power of the mask. Determined to uncover the truth, Dr. Emily Harper spent countless hours researching the origins of the mask. She pored over ancient texts, consulted with colleagues around the world, and even reached out to indigenous elders who might hold the key to understanding the mask's dark power. Each piece of information she gathered painted an increasingly grim picture. One evening, Emily received a call from Dr. Sofia Alvarez, an expert in Mesoamerican cultures. "Emily, I've found something," Sofia said, her voice tinged with urgency. There are references to a shaman named Xolotl in several ancient manuscripts. He was known for his immense power and his ruthless quest for revenge after being betrayed by his own people. As Emily listened, Sophia explained that Xolotl had been a high priest and shaman, revered and feared in equal measure. According to the texts, Xolotl's people had turned against him, fearing his growing power. They ambushed him, killing him in a brutal and sacrilegious manner. With his dying breath, Xolotl cursed the mask he wore, binding his spirit to it and vowing that anyone who donned the mask would become an instrument of his vengeance. Emily's heart raced as she realized the full extent of the mask's malevolence. The mask was not just a relic. It was a vessel for Xolotl's wrath, a conduit through which his spirit could exact revenge. She knew she had to stop the curse before it consumed Marcus completely and potentially spread to others. Desperate for more answers, Emily decided to visit Don Luis, the elder who had first warned her about the mask. She traveled back to the village near the excavation site, hoping that the elder's knowledge and experience could provide a solution. Don Luis welcomed Emily into his modest home, his wise eyes reflecting the weight of years and countless stories. As they sat by the fire, Emily recounted the recent events, including Marcus's terrifying transformation. Don Luis listened intently, nodding occasionally. "The spirit of Xolotl is strong," Don Luis said, his voice somber. "He was wronged in life and seeks to right those wrongs through violence and chaos. The mask binds his spirit to this world, but there are rituals that might weaken his hold." Don Luis explained that the curse could be broken, but it would require a powerful cleansing ritual. The ritual needed to be performed at the site of Xolotl's betrayal, where the shaman's anger was strongest, but also where it could be most effectively neutralized. The process would be dangerous, as the spirit would fight to maintain its grip on the mask and its host. Armed with this knowledge, Emily returned to the university. She gathered her team, explaining the situation and the need for the ritual. While some were skeptical, the evidence of Marcus's transformation was undeniable. They agreed to help, understanding the gravity of their mission. Emily and her team began to prepare for the ritual. They gathered ancient texts, protective charms, and the necessary ceremonial items. The tension was palpable, but Emily's resolve was unwavering. She knew the risks, but she also knew that failure was not an option. The spirit of Xolotl had to be laid to rest, and Marcus's life depended on it. As the day of the ritual approached, Emily noticed Marcus becoming increasingly volatile. He was often found muttering to himself in the ancient language, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. It was clear that Xolotl's spirit was becoming stronger, feeding off Marcus's fear and desperation. The night before they were set to leave for the dig site, Emily found Marcus in the lab, staring at the mask with a look of profound sorrow. "I can't fight it much longer, Emily," he whispered, his voice trembling. "You have to stop this." Emily placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We will, Marcus. I promise. We'll end this curse and free you from Xolotl's grip." As dawn broke, the team set out for the dig site, carrying with them the hopes of breaking the curse and saving their friend. The journey was fraught with anticipation and fear, but Emily's determination drove them forward. She knew that they were about to face unimaginable horrors, but she was prepared to do whatever it took to put an end to the mask of madness. Emily and her team arrived at the ancient site, a place steeped in history and dark energy. The air was thick with humidity and the oppressive weight of centuries-old secrets. The ruins of the temple loomed over them, a testament to the once great civilization that had thrived here before Xolotl's curse had taken hold. As they set up for the ritual, Emily could feel the presence of Xolotl's spirit growing stronger. Marcus, now restrained and closely monitored, was a shadow of his former self. His eyes, once vibrant and full of life, were now dark and hollow, a testament to the shaman's malevolent influence. He muttered incoherently, his voice tinged with the guttural sounds of the ancient language. Don Luis had joined them, bringing with him sacred herbs, ceremonial tools, and a deep knowledge of the rituals needed to weaken and banish Xolotl's spirit. As the sun began to set, casting an eerie glow over the temple, the team gathered around the altar where the mask lay in wait. "Everyone must be prepared," Don Luis warned. "The spirit will not go quietly. We must be strong and united." Emily nodded, her resolve firm. She glanced at Marcus, who was struggling against his restraints, his face contorted with rage and fear. She knew they had no time to lose. The ritual had to begin. Don Luis started the ritual, chanting in an ancient tongue. The air crackled with energy as he sprinkled sacred herbs over the mask and lit incense. The sweet, pungent smoke filled the air, creating a barrier against the dark forces that surrounded them. The team members held hands, forming a protective circle around the altar. As the chanting grew louder, Marcus's struggles intensified. He screamed in agony, his voice a blend of his own and the shaman's. Emily could see the battle taking place within him, a struggle for control between the man she knew and the vengeful spirit that sought to dominate him. "Hold on, Marcus," she whispered, her voice full of determination. "We won't let him win." Don Luis continued his incantations, his voice rising to a fever pitch. The ground beneath them trembled, and the air grew colder. Shadows seemed to move of their own accord, swirling around the group, threatening to break their circle. Emily focused on the ritual, her heart pounding in her chest. Suddenly, Marcus broke free from his restraints, propelled by an otherworldly force. He lunged for the mask, his eyes burning with a fierce, unnatural light. Emily reacted instinctively, stepping between Marcus and the altar. She grabbed the mask, feeling its cold surface pulse with dark energy. "Stop him!" she cried, struggling to hold Marcus back. The team rushed to her aid, pulling Marcus away as he fought with a strength that was not his own. Don Luis's chanting reached its climax. "In the name of the ancestors, we command you, Xolotl, to release your hold and return to the afterlife." Emily held the mask aloft, feeling its power surge. "You won't take him, Xolotl. This ends now." With a final desperate effort, Emily hurled the mask to the ground. It shattered into countless pieces, each fragment emitting a blinding light. A deafening scream filled the air, the voice of Xolotl's spirit being torn from the mortal realm. Marcus collapsed, his body convulsing as the spirit was expelled from him. The ground stopped shaking, and the oppressive weight lifted. The shadows retreated, and the night grew still. The mask's pieces lay scattered, their power finally broken. Emily rushed to Marcus's side, her heart in her throat. "Marcus, are you okay?" He opened his eyes, the dark shadows gone, replaced by a tired but familiar blue. "Emily, it's over. Thank you." Tears of relief streamed down Emily's face. "We did it, Marcus. The curse is broken." Don Luis approached, his expression one of solemn satisfaction. "The spirit has been laid to rest. You have done well." The team gathered around, their faces reflecting a mix of exhaustion and triumph. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, their bonds strengthened by the ordeal. As dawn broke over the ancient ruins, Emily looked at the scattered pieces of the mask. She knew their work was not yet done. The story of Xolotl and his curse would serve as a warning and a lesson. She vowed to ensure that such dark forces would never again be unleashed upon the world. The mask of madness was no more, but its story would live on, a testament to the courage and resilience of those who dared to confront the darkness and prevail.